this Epstein stuff has come roaring back into the headlines. The other day, as the shutdown ended, Democrats released 3 emails that they had subpoenaed from the Justice Department. 3 specific emails. Now, they were redacted. Certain names were redacted. However, they painted a picture that is pretty explosive. You know, pretty much immediately upon reading them, everyone was like, holy shit, this seems bad.
This is straight from the DOJ.
Please. Yes. And so I'll show you the emails right now. These are the 3 that the Democrats released. Here is one from GMax, who we all know as Ghislaine Maxwell, to gvacation at gmail.com. This is Jeffrey Epstein.
What a weird email.
Yeah. And
try emailing that and see what happens.
I'm sure plenty of people have tried that.
He's like, I'm alive. I'm still alive somewhere.
Yeah. And so this was an email sent in 2011. So this is long before Trump was running for office in the 2016 election. At this point, he was primarily known as the host of The Apprentice, reality show star, real estate mogul from New York. He famously did try to get involved in politics prior to this in like the early 2000s, running under, I believe, the Reform Party, but one of those third-party runs that really doesn't go anywhere, and it never seemed that serious. So, again, this is before his presidential aspirations were really known. When Jeffrey Epstein was kind of dealing with the fallout of his own, slap on the wrist that he got in 2008. So, anyways, the email from Epstein to Ghislaine said, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump." And then redacted victim's name, spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there, which I think is just... And something we're going to discover about all of this is not just Jeffrey Epstein, but all of these powerful figures that were in his orbit. They're awful at text messaging and emailing, like unbelievably bad at it. So anyways, she replied and said, "I have been thinking about that, ... Okay. So
I don't really understand what's being communicated.
Right. So to give some context here, again, it seems complicated because you're going to see very contradictory things. And it seems like the relationship was evolving over time. But as we all know, Trump doesn't even deny this. Epstein and Trump were associates for a long time. I think something like 15 years.
Very tight friends.
They were seemingly tight friends. And Trump has always maintained that once he learned about what Epstein was up to, he cut contact with him and kicked him out of his club at Mar-a-Lago.
You know what's funny about
been
that?
The story this whole time.
Imagine being friends with Epstein for 15 years and being like, I didn't know he was a creep. He was my best friend for 15 years. I didn't know he was a creep, you guys.
I mean, you say that that's funny, but that's what that's what Bill Gates says. That's what Larry Summers says. That's what like all these people
Epstein
say.
was like...
Well, it seems like he was particularly close to
They
Trump.
were like besties.
Yeah, as much as these type of men can be, I suppose. It's hard to say, how much of it was them using each other or whatever, because all these people are disgusting. But anyways, yes, they had a long-standing relationship. So she replied, "I've been thinking about that," which can take on a couple meanings. Now, again, this was a few years after Epstein had caught a conviction. One that's very controversial. A lot of people think that he he basically was given a slap on the wrist. I think he got charged with or convicted with prostitution, essentially.
Yeah, even though he was fucking on minors.
I don't think he was convicted on that. Although that was like part of it, but then he ended up pleading guilty to a lesser. This oftentimes happens in the justice.
Yeah.
Here, but anyways. He seems, in this message, it reads to me as him being bitter about the fact that Trump has not been sort of named or is not catching any of the shit while Epstein was getting in trouble for all this stuff.
Read that email
again. Seems to
again.
be the implication here.
I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. So
I'm going to just tell you right now, the victim's name that was redacted in the initial release, there was a later release where it was unredacted, and what it says there is Virginia. Now, Virginia Giuffre, I believe is how it's pronounced. The woman who accused Prince Andrew and has basically completely taken him down was one of was a longtime victim of Epstein's and was recruited from Mar-a-Lago. It's actually part of the story of their supposed falling out that this woman was working in the spa at Mar-a-Lago and Epstein recruited her and basically poached her as an employee, putting it very lightly in quotes here.
Has it ever been...
And that upset Trump, and that's what caused him to cut off contact, which is less noble than cutting off for finding out that your friend abuses women.
It's kind of the opposite.
It's more like, you stole my employee, you asshole, get the fuck out of here.
Well, what was she doing for him?
Seems to be what happened, but, your mileage may vary on that. People asking, are you sure? Yes, I am sure, because, again, this same email was released unredacted in the second set of emails that came out later the same day.
And people are saying rest in peace, so she's the one.
Yes, so unfortunately, just earlier this year, she committed suicide.
Oh, God.
Yeah, her whole story is incredibly...
Also suspicious and weird and tragic, too.
Now, it's worth pointing out right away, because this is actually part of the deflection and defense that's going on with Republicans, that this woman, Virginia, famously, in testimony, said that Trump had never done anything to her and she had nothing bad to say about Trump at all.
Okay.
This particular woman. Now, Jeffrey Epstein had tons of victims, but the one being referred to here. Now, what is interesting is, again, this is an email from 2011, long before Trump ran for office, and they're saying that he spent hours with Virginia specifically. Now, Virginia later denied that.
So there's a conflict.
There's a conflict there. But if we take her word for it, I even have, I think, she said in testimony that Trump never touched her and that she had never seen him with any girls. So that's who was being referred to in this email.
Okay.
I read that as like he's the one that didn't snitch.
That's what I kind of thought he was bigging him up.
Yeah.
Where he's like, he's not talking
You
to anybody.
could maybe interpret it that way too.
But then I don't know.
You'll see later, again, there are messages later that make it pretty clear that Epstein is pretty bitter towards Trump.
Well, but then why is he a dog that doesn't bark?
But I also, like he doesn't attack? I don't know. But why does he say I'm 75% there? That part I don't understand what the reference would be. Because he says that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that he was keeping quiet about what he knew, and so was crediting him in that way.
If he's a dog that's not barking, that's a good thing.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Nobody likes a barking dog.
Again, I'll let you decide. I don't think any of this is clear, and it's as you see more of these emails. Again, there's like this strange back and forth where he seems incredibly hostile towards Trump, and then at other times seems to, through a intermediary, almost be advising Trump on certain things, much later than anything that we've known about. There's no direct correspondence with Trump in any of these emails from what I have seen. However, as you'll see, people very close to Trump were still in communication with Epstein as late as 2018.
I mean, Trump's an experienced criminal. He knows not to communicate directly, right? I mean, that's the mob. That's the mob shit.
Right. So here it was the second one. So victim Mar-a-Lago, Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member. Of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. So this is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Michael Wolff, who is a journalist to one degree or another, who is coming out of these releases not looking very good. This Michael Wolff guy, I got to say, in my opinion, because Michael Wolff has positioned himself as like a Trump critic. He wrote several books on the first Trump administration, supposedly with all this insider knowledge. Well, it does seem like he was an insider. He was very inside with Jeffrey Epstein, as we're going to see. He has a lot of communication with him and seems to be advising him at times on how to improve his public image. Not a very good look for this guy, Mr. Wolff here. But anyways, so yeah, this was from Epstein to Michael Wolff explaining that Trump was either lying or somehow misrepresenting the situation when Trump said that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out as a member of Mar-a-Lago. He's saying he was never a member.
Well, you should be able to figure that out, right?
Right. And then he said, of course he knew about the girls. He asked Ghislaine to stop. So this is, again, referring to, in some way, Trump's version of events where he found out about this Virginia girl getting poached from his club and told them to fuck off. Now, he's presented it as, I kicked them out. It sounds more like hey, buddy, don't do that anymore. Like, now, obviously, it's different framings, very different context here. But this is a message from 2019.
That's very recent.
Where Epstein, 2019 is the year Epstein died.
That's very recent.
So this is him.
This is pre-arrest.
Of course, he knew about the girls. He asked Ghislaine to stop. So this is him pretty much directly saying that Trump was in the know about what they were up to. And final one. This is from Michael Wolff, the guy I was just talking about, in 2015 to Jeffrey Epstein, saying, this one's very interesting too. So, because it's an email thread, I got to go backwards. So, Michael Wolff sent to Epstein, I heard CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in the scrum afterwards. If we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it would be? So this is Michael Wolff and
that dude needs to fucking be
Jeffrey Epstein. But this is what's weird. So this is Jeffrey Epstein sort of assisting in formulating how Trump should respond to questions about their relationship.
I don't like this Michael Wolff guy. This shit is not good. Are people asking him what the fuck? Like, is he being scrutinized?
As far as I've seen, he has not replied to requests for comment to anybody yet.
What a douchebag.
Yeah.
Because this guy positions himself in the media as like a Trump. He was a biographer, and like all the kinds of dirt came out against Trump.
Yeah.
He was always there.
I forget who I was listening to, but they were basically explaining that it over time has become more clear that Michael Wolff is less of like a journalist that's like trying to get to the bottom of all this, and more like he himself is a player in Trump world, knows all of these guys, socializes with all of them, and is just trying to make a buck off of, book sales, essentially. Yeah. So he responds to Epstein asking what kind of answer we should give Trump. And he said, I think you should let him hang himself.
So this is
Michael Wolff kind of spitballing with Epstein. He says, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. So this seems to be saying that you should just let Trump deny knowing you, deny being at the house, and deny going to the being on the plane, because that gives you blackmail over him.
That seems to be no other way to read that.
This conversation is. You can hang him in a way that is potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Like, this is pretty obviously talking about blackmailing Trump with some sort of knowledge. Or if it really looks like you could win, again, this was in the lead up. This is in 2015. So this was the CNN thing that they're talking about here is one of the primary debates, the Republican primary, when Trump was first starting to run. So you can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey's a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. And so he's saying if he said that, you wouldn't have anything over him. So again,
this guy needs to be arrested.
But he
arrest Michael Wolff.
Right.
Dude.
He seems to be under the impression that Jeffrey
Trump?
Epstein has something that he could hold over Trump for a favor or some sort of.
Well, presumably all he needs is proof that, like a log or proof that he's been on the island or the plane.
You sending the what?
Right.
Which presumably he has, according to this email.
Right. Now, and I just saw somebody in the chat point this out. I also thought this was ironic. I don't think it actually means anything. I'm not getting that conspiracy brained, but you notice he keeps talking about letting Trump hang himself. It's just interesting to me
that's how
that is how Jeffrey Epstein died a few years after this. Yeah. That there's all this references to hanging Trump, and then
I mean, it is a common expression.
It is. I just there's a weird irony there that they're talking about hanging Trump and then this guy ends up dead.
Well, I don't know what happened, but Michael Wolff was doing his best to save Epstein, and
that's sure what it looks like.
Did not
here,
work.
Right? So the Democrats released these along with a statement. In a short statement, today the Oversight Democrats and Ranking Member Robert Garcia released never-before-seen emails from the latest production from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, striking a blow against the White House's Epstein cover-up. In private correspondence with Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein wrote in 2011 that Donald Trump had spent hours at my house with a victim of sex trafficking, referring to Trump as the dog that hasn't barked. Yada, yada, yada. So they're just going over it. But, you know, this is how they're framing it, right? So just a few hours later, the Republicans respond by dropping over 23,000 documents and emails from
the Oversight Committee?
Huh?
From the Oversight Committee?
From the same group. So
committee.
both of these are coming from the Oversight Committee. The first three from the Democrats. The 23,000 from the Republicans. So it's interesting, right? It's the Republicans that are actually dumping it. So there's a few like ways that you could interpret that. One, they're just trying to get ahead of it because they know cat's out of the bag now and don't want to be seen as like trying to cover it up. So it's like, oh, here it is. The other option is they're just trying to flood the zone. Here, just dumping a shitload of stuff because then it becomes too much information for people to pay attention to and just hoping that all of this kind of blows over. That's one theory.
Maybe they just got frustrated and like, fuck it. Like,
Right.
I'm done with this shit.
And then the other theory
Was there anything interesting in those emails?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so go ahead. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. We're getting to that. Or another option is that they were released because the three that the Democrats released, obviously, all three of those look really terrible, right? Without the information of who the victim was, when it just says victim redacted, that could be anybody. By releasing the unredacted version, now we know it's this Virginia woman who, again, we already knew had somewhat exonerated Trump, at least from abusing her. And so by getting that out there, it allows them to kind of counter the narrative. And like, I wouldn't doubt, I mean, that does seem like a very strategic redaction that the Democrats did. You know, it's a little playing dirty, I guess. Because, I mean, you guys saw it.
I mean,
that email without that additional context of who they're talking about looks incredibly incriminating, right?
It's still bad, though, isn't it?
No, it's still bad. But it's less bad if the person being referred to is on the record under oath saying Trump didn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Here's what I think.
better for
But,
Trump for that to be out there.
Those first three emails, it's like obvious that Trump is guilty of some stuff,
It's
right?
bad, yeah.
It seems very bad.
So here's what I think
Not the
happened.
opinion, but-
These people are on the same committee. They sit together. They look at all the evidence together. This is a collusion job. The Republicans don't want to cover this up either. So they're probably the guys on the committee are probably also horrified, but they need a way to get it out without like fucking getting eaten alive.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible that the Democrats and Republicans even did this.
I think they're
together,
colluding.
right? Behind
They said, you guys drop these,
right,
cause a muck,
right.
and then we'll dump the rest in response.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that is a possibility. I think there's several possibilities here, and like there's several sort of plausible rationales for why the Republicans would want to do this. Because as we're going to see again, like there's some and obviously it's a shitload of documents. People are still turning up stuff. I was pretty much right up until we went on the, live today, looking at updates, and people keep pointing out and kind of piecing together certain things.
So how long ago was this big dump?
It was the same day as the
Today?
initial one.
Oh wow, it happened right after.
Yeah, it was all. This
Oh, then they were definitely colluding. They had that ready to go.
It was a few hours later.
Yeah.
So it
feel like-
hit home for me in that aspect.
that's
Not
when it
interested
hit
in
home.
your input.
Is
Thank you.
Jewish.
Madison,
so much.
share your views on the Epstein files, if you could, please.
Is Jewish.
He is Jewish. I don't see why that matters.
Oh no, that's not,
We're not proud of
We're not
that.
trying
Come
to
on.
point that out.
One of my best
Can
friends.
we forget about that?